Right now, as you're watching this, more than 71 million Americans are getting their Social Security payments every month. Most of them have no idea what's really happening behind the scenes. The money is disappearing, not sometime far off in the future. It's happening already. According to the official 2025 Social Security Trustees Report, the combined trust funds lost $67 billion just in 2024. That's real, documented money gone. Even more concerning, the major fund, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund, which covers retirement checks for about 63 million people, is projected to reach zero around 2033. That's only 7 years away. When that day comes, the law requires an automatic reduction of roughly 23% to all benefits. No debate, no exceptions. It just happens. But here's what almost no one is talking about openly: that 23% cut is actually the smaller part of the story. What we're really facing is the gradual dismantling of the largest social insurance program ever created, and history shows this follows a very predictable four-stage pattern. Every large-scale, promise-based government system that has ever existed has followed this exact path. Every single one, no exceptions. Right now, in early 2026, we're firmly in stage 3 of that pattern. I'm going to walk you through the entire pattern, show you 3 clear historical examples, and then place the current situation of American Social Security right on that timeline using the government's own official numbers. Once you see where we really stand, you'll understand why so many people's retirement security is in serious jeopardy. Not because of malice or secret plots, but simply because of basic mathematics. And math never changes its mind. The 4 stages, how government promises. Typically end stage 1, the golden beginning. A government launches a big social program, retirement security, pensions, health benefits for older citizens. At first, everything works smoothly. The population is young, lots of workers paying taxes, relatively few people collecting benefits. Money coming in greatly exceeds money going out. Politicians proudly announce the new safety net. The public embraces it. The promise feels permanent. Stage 2, growth and stretching the system. Success breeds more promises. Benefits get sweeter. Earlier retirement, bigger payments, automatic inflation adjustments, disability coverage, health insurance add-ons. At the same time, the underlying math quietly starts to crack. Birth rates drop. People live much longer. The worker-to-retiree ratio gets worse every decade. Instead of scaling back the promises, governments find ways to keep them going. Higher payroll taxes, borrowing money, changing accounting rules, anything to delay the reckoning. Admitting the system needs major changes is political poison, so they keep kicking the problem forward. Stage 3, reality closes. Eventually, the gap between what was promised and what the system can actually afford becomes impossible to ignore. Trust funds start shrinking fast. Annual shortfalls grow larger. Now government leaders face the classic dilemma: either openly reduce benefits, political disaster, or preserve the promised amounts by creating more money, devaluing the currency. History shows governments almost never choose the first option willingly. Cutting checks directly means angry voters, protests, lost elections. So they choose the second path. They protect the nominal dollar amount while quietly allowing the real value to collapse through inflation. Stage 4. The hollow shell checks keep coming. The stated benefit amount might even rise on paper, but what that money can actually purchase falls dramatically. A payment that once covered rent, groceries, medicine, and some extras now barely covers a fraction of those costs. The promise was technically fulfilled. People received their money, but it became meaningless in real life. Generations who trusted the system and planned their whole future around it realized too late that arithmetic always wins in the end. This isn't opinion or speculation. This is what actually happened multiple times in different countries and different political systems. Historical proof. 3 clear examples. 1. Weimar Germany, early 1920s. After World War I, Germany already had a fairly advanced social welfare system: pensions, veteran benefits, healthcare support. In 1919-1920, the currency was still stable and the promises were affordable. Then came crushing reparations, plus reconstruction costs, plus ongoing social spending. Rather than cut benefits, the government printed money. At first, inflation was mild. Then it accelerated. Pensioners demanded higher payments to keep up. The government gave them more printing, more inflation, even higher demands. By late 1923, monthly inflation reached hundreds of billions of percent. A pension that bought a comfortable lifestyle in 1919 couldn't buy a loaf of bread in 1923. People literally burned banknotes for heat because firewood cost more. Total timeline from system working to complete destruction of savings, about 4 years. Two, the Soviet Union, 1980s-1991. For decades, the USSR proudly guaranteed pensions, free healthcare, subsidized housing, the centerpiece of the communist social contract. Through the 1950s, 1970s, the system functioned reasonably well. Then military spending soared, oil prices crashed, their main revenue source, and population trends worsened. They kept every promise on paper by printing rubles and using every monetary trick available. By the late 1980s, people still received their pensions monthly, and then spent hours in bread lines because the money bought almost nothing. The government kept paying the nominal amount while purchasing power evaporated. In 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved. The ruble became essentially worthless paper. Lifetime workers who believed in the system ended their days in deep poverty. A global superpower couldn't escape the pattern. 3. Greece, 2009-2015. A modern European democracy, member of the Eurozone with one of the most generous pension systems in the Western world. Some people retired in their 50s with pensions close to 96% of final salary. The 2008 global crisis crushed Greek tax revenue, but promises stayed the same. They borrowed massively instead of adjusting benefits. By 2010, borrowing became impossible. Markets refused to lend. Bailouts came with brutal strings, large pension cuts, retirement age increases, benefit reductions of 30 to 45% for many. Riots followed. In 2015, banks restricted withdrawals to $60 per day. Many retirees couldn't access their own money for basic living expenses. Even though the system didn't completely disappear, thanks to EU support, the original promise was shattered for millions of people who had counted on it. 3 completely different systems, authoritarian, communist, democratic, Western, same ending. Where is American Social Security today? Using official government data, Stage 1, 1935 launch, very modest benefits starting at age 65, when average life expectancy was 61. Worker-to-beneficiary ratio, 42.1, extremely sustainable. Stage 2, decades of expansion, disability added, 1956, Medicare, 1965, automatic COLAs, 1972, early retirement at 62, bigger benefits. Meanwhile, the ratio collapsed. 1960, 5.1 workers per beneficiary. Today, 2026, so 2.8 workers per beneficiary. Taxes were raised repeatedly from 2% to 12.4%. Wage base increased, retirement age nudged to 67. Classic delay tactics. Stage 3, where we are right now, January 2026. The 2025 Trustees Report confirms $67 billion lost in 2024. Old age fund projected depletion, 2033. After depletion, ongoing payroll taxes cover only 0.77% of scheduled benefits, 23% automatic cut. The baby boom retirement wave is here. 10,000 people turn 65 every day. Fertility rate, 1.6 children per woman, well below the 2.1 replacement level. The worker base is shrinking while beneficiaries explode. Faced with the same choice every government eventually faces, the political incentives strongly favor currency debasement over explicit cuts. Why? Because openly cutting benefits by 23% would cause massive voter backlash from 71 million people. Maintaining nominal payments while inflation erodes real value is much easier to sell politically. We protected your benefits. Already we see early signs. Real cost of living increases for seniors, especially housing, healthcare, food, run 2x higher than official COLA adjustments most years. The CPIW index used for COLAs systematically understates retiree spending patterns. Purchasing power of Social Security has been declining in real terms for over a decade despite annual COLA increases. Stage 4, not here yet, but the path is clear. After 2033, when the trust fund is gone, the pressure to avoid the automatic 23% cut will be enormous. Congress will likely authorize emergency Treasury funding, massive new borrowing, Federal Reserve purchases of that debt, large-scale money creation, accelerating inflation. Checks will keep coming. They may even increase on paper, but what they buy will shrink, first noticeably, then dramatically. The bottom line, Social Security isn't going to suddenly stop sending checks. The nominal payments will almost certainly continue. What will most likely happen, and what history shows happens every time, is that the real value of those payments will be eroded through inflation, especially after the trust fund runs dry. For people depending entirely or mostly on Social Security, that means falling living standards. For those supplementing with savings, those savings will lose real value too. For younger workers paying in today, the system is very unlikely to deliver back the real purchasing power equivalent of what they've contributed. This isn't about fear-mongering or predicting the end of the world tomorrow. It's about clearly recognizing a mathematical pattern that is repeated throughout modern history, and seeing that the United States is currently traveling down the same well-worn path. The numbers are public, the trustees' reports are available for anyone to read, the demographic reality is locked in, the political incentives are obvious. The question isn't whether the pattern will try to play out. The question is how far it gets before reality becomes undeniable for the majority of people. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing to Evermark Finance for more clear, numbers-based analysis of retirement, money, and the systems we all depend on. Stay informed, because understanding the math early is still the best defense we have. See you in the next one.